I'm the son of immigrants. I'm black. I grew up poor. I grew up in New York during the stop and frisk era, so I've been stopped because I fit a description before. So everything that these guys protest, I've lived it. I've experienced it.
I got to tell you something. I've been stopped because I fit a description before. I know they said driving while black and all this. Look, I tell you, driving while long hair, driving while having a beater, driving while being a young man. And I've got guys who are a heck of a lot more clean cut than I was when I was younger, and were also of, they were of, a Caucasian race. And we used to discuss, the one nice thing about getting older is that you're not in risk of being pulled over every time you're behind a wheel. And it got to be for a while where I was like, and nothing ever came of it, but I was like, hi, I'm Marky Billson, and I was I'm a child of the 80s. I used to have real long hair. I loved the hair bands. That was it. I loved the hair bands. So, yeah, still do. And I was a product of my time, okay? It was a fashion. I would get pulled over, not speeding or something like, it was amazing and all that. Like, what do you really think? I got a bag of cocaine and a revolver in the front seat? No. Nothing usually, I'm going to have, I remember one time, I got a dog and if anyone, you got any drugs in here? I've never done a drug in my life. I've never so much as smoked a joint and all that. Well, we'll see about that with the dog and all that. I guess you haven't. What did I tell you? I wasn't speeding either, Anyway. What's that you have in your trunk? Potatoes! Yes, I remember this once being pulled over. I had potatoes in the trunk, carrying food to my residence, okay, and all this. And, my dog seemed to notice those potatoes. Thanks, great. Are they still edible after your dog has slobbered on it when I haven't done a darn thing? You can hear me holding back for the word darn, can't you? Anyways, I hear that. That was Brian Flores, though, on Miami Dolphins coach. And here's the deal about the Miami. I don't know you hear this. Jay-Z is now coming into the NFL. Who knows what? By the way, the rumors he was going to buy the Steelers are not true. I could have told you that. They were from fringe sources. He was going to be a minority owner, and it's like, no, he's not. But yeah, there were some hip-hop sites that said he was and all this. So there you go. But Brian Flores played 8 consecutive Jay-Z songs during Tuesday's practice. I find it interesting you're playing any songs during practice. ETSU does it, though. They usually play, songs that I kind of like, actually, from the late 80s and all that. Maybe they ought to play more Jay-Z. That would be more modern. It would seem to me that would be more aligned with the 18-year-old than Quiet Riot and all that, although that doesn't speak well of the taste of 18-year-olds, but nevertheless, a previous generation would have said the same thing about Tin Pan Alley or something like that, But anyway, Kenny Stills, he's a receiver on the Dolphins. He has expressed disdain about how Jay-Z went about his social justice partnership. There's the whole, I thought you were with Cap. I thought you were with Cap, that sort of thing that is discussed. And anyway, he discussed that, and you heard the quote right there. That was after the preseason game against Jacksonville, in which Miami won 22-7. And Flores said playing Jay-Z was meant as a challenge to Stills. And what I say is poor Dan Kilgore, because I really believe the Miami Dolphins are going to be the whipping boy of the NFL this year. First of all, it took them 4 days in training camp to fire their offensive line coach. Second of all, they're going for Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's usually good for about 2 games a year. And, he started against Jacksonville. Now, Miami did beat Jacksonville 22-7, but it's a preseason. Baltimore's won 16 straight preseason games. What does it get them? You want me to give you historic preseason? The year the Lions went 0-16, they were 4-0 in the preseason. When the Redskins won their first Super Bowl, they only lost one game all year long, except in the preseason, where they lost all 4. I mean, what does it all mean? So, let's get to this. The Miami Dolphins, they did defeat the Jaguars. It was Ryan Fitzpatrick who was a starter, and he led 8 Dolphins drives, including a touchdown march in the second half. Then Josh Rosen, who really should be the starter, was put into the game with about 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. He was at his own 1-yard line, and he led a 99-yard drive for the Dolphins. And so they defeated Jacksonville 22-7. But still, when you've got coaches literally like picking fights with receivers, when you got Dolphins players complaining because the owner, Stephen Ross was a fan of Donald Trump, there's going to be a lot of dysfunction on that Dolphins team. And, I know Sports Illustrated just picked the Redskins to go 3-13 this year and the Dolphins to go 4-12. No, the Redskins would not be my Super Bowl pick. But I'm going to go with the Dolphins as the worst team in the NFL. I think the Bengals also will be around there. I mean, the Giants going 4-12 too, although it seems as if Daniel Jones, But what did I tell you about Duke? I've been saying this in the history of the show. If I was the 5-star quarterback, if I had straight A's, if I could go anywhere in the world to play college football and I wanted to play pro football and I was a 5-star quarterback, I wouldn't go to Alabama. I wouldn't go to Clemson. I wouldn't go to Tennessee. I wouldn't go to Notre Dame. I wouldn't even go to Purdue, quarterback U. I'd go to Duke. Because, and I've said this, first of all, I think strong academics, that they deliver pro quarterbacks. Ryan Fitzpatrick from Harvard being a good example. But how about, what's the school that has given us 3 number 1 draft choices overall as a quarterback in the NFL draft? Only one in history. 3 quarterbacks, number 1 pick overall in NFL draft. Only one school. Don't give me Oklahoma. Troy Aikman doesn't count. Only one. Who is it? Stanford. That's right. Plunkett, Elway, Lott. There you go. So the academic schools, and plus you work with David Cutcliffe, and you're playing in the ACC, okay, you'll play in front of 20,000 fans. So what? You won't play in front of 100,000. So what? Daniel Jones is proving my point here. All right, so the Giants, they play the Bengals. 2 teams Sports Illustrated picked to go 4-12 this year. Giants win at 25-23. Eli started 4 of 8 for 41 yards. It's actually not, it's only 5 yards a pass. But he did lead a 15-play field goal drive in his final preseason start. But then came in Daniel Jones, who everybody in New York wants to start. And I can't see him not starting by the end of the year. I mean, yet doesn't Eli just sort of look like it's kind of the end of the road for him? Maybe a little sad, I don't know. But, boy, I'd like to see Eli traded to a contender, to tell you the truth, to go after that one last Super Bowl. But I think it is going to be Daniel Jones's team. And he was 9 of 11 for 141 yards. And, week 2, I guess he had some trouble holding on to the ball, did Jones, but still, he's had a wonderful preseason. Now, I know. That doesn't necessarily, Ravens win 16 straight preseason games. What does it all mean? We want to get rid of the preseason, all this. And I agree, and all that. But doesn't every indication seem to be that Daniel Jones is going to be the starting quarterback of the New York Giants sooner than later? Now, maybe not week 1, maybe not week 2, week 8. If they're going to go 4-12 like SI thinks they are, why wouldn't you say, Eli, thanks for the 2 Super Bowls, but you've got 1 winning season since your last one in, the start of the decade. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons I don't get why, let's say, and I guess the Giants might not want to trade him to a division rival, but I don't get where the Eagles signed Josh McCown, but I think there'll be probably some very good quarterbacks that they can pick. I mentioned, Steelers, they got to make a decision on Hodges, on Dobbs, of Rudolph. Now, one of them's not going to make the team. One of them's going to get cut. If I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, I need a backup. All those guys, and I know, veteran backup, Eagles might be there, ready to win a Super Bowl this year. Vito Stellino on Wednesday. Pick them and the Patriots. Okay. But who has more upside potential? And I know, Carson Wentz is on a team and all that. But isn't Carson Wentz kind of injury prone? And yeah, I mean, Josh Dobbs might have one pass so far in the NFL. Okay, that might be it. But the all-time passer in FCS, Josh Dobbs, Mason Rudolph, one of them not making a Steeler. And one of them has more upside potential, more future, if something should happen to Wentz, than a 40-year-old quarterback, Josh McCown, in my opinion, who wasn't all that good. I mean, you're not bringing in, like when Mark Brunell was a backup with the Saints, a proud old veteran. This isn't Joe Ferguson. This isn't George Blanda. This is Josh McCown. Why are you keeping him around? I mean, I see this as like Rick Meyer being kept around in a previous generation, anyhow. That's the case there. By the way, in that Dolphins-Jacksonville game that I was referencing earlier, Jacksonville, although they only scored 7 points, Nick Foles hooked up with D.D. Westbrook, as Foles going to do, 4 times in 4 drives, including the only touchdown pass of the day for the Jaguars. And Josh Allen, you remember him from Kentucky, he had a big day on defense, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. Jaguars could have the best defense. I mean, think it's Saxonville. Listen to me. Saxonville. They could have the best defense in the NFL. They really could. And there are 3 divisions in the NFL this year I think could go, any team in there, go first to fourth. Any of them. AFC South, yeah. Titans, Jaguars with that defense, Leonard Fournette, hey, they're a year off of playing for the Super Bowl and having a 4th quarter lead against the Patriots. I think Jaguars, Texans, who's going to win this? Colts? Is Luck going to play? I mean, any of those teams, 1 through 4, anywhere, could happen. Black and blue division, yeah, the NFC Central. I mean, you tell me. I guess, the Vikings seem to be the favorite, but why? Why not the Packers? Why not the Lions? Didn't it seem like, I saw Sports Illustrated pick the Bears for last place. Didn't they win the division last year? I mean, well, they don't know what they're going to do at kicker. They'll find one, trust me. Any of those teams, first to fourth, NFC Central. The other division? And believe me here, AFC West. Do I think Patrick Mahomes is good? Yeah, sure. But I also think he throws across the field too much. And I'm not all that impressed with left-handed shuttle passes and all this. And there's something called the sophomore jinx. Now, Mahomes, is Mahomes going to be the next Cordell Stewart? I don't know. I would bet against it. But I don't know. And it always seems Andy Reid just comes up a little bit short. Yeah, it's difficult for me to see the Chiefs being the 4th place team. And for that matter, I know a lot of people are saying, the Raiders going out of business, sale in Oakland, Antonio Brown is a diva. What if Antonio Brown leads the NFL in receiving again? It could happen, Broncos with that great defense. Chargers are up and coming. I'm telling you, AFC West, although less likely than the AFC South, and for that matter, the NFC Central, any of those teams, I'm telling you, go first to fourth. Absolutely, any of them. So there you go. I'm Marky Billson. Josh Brown is going to join me in the next hour at 1:30. We'll talk a little baseball. Until then, more football talk. You're listening to Tri-City Sports Now on 1420 WEMB Sports Radio and JetBroadcasting.live.
20 WEMB Sports Radio Irwin. Real sports.